Hola, mis amigos y amigas. Y 5 de mayo. Yo soy MC Magarula 31. Pues hablamos de baseball. Yes, it is 5 de mayo. And I am MC Mega Ruler 31 from FSI DFS. I will be breaking down today's, was supposed to be, I believe, 11 game slate, but it's down to 10 games now with the New York Mets and St. Louis Cardinals getting rained out last night, so they're playing a doubleheader, so DK is not counting that game on the slate anymore. So instead of doing a normal like weather and then pitchers, let's just run through each game here quickly. Surprisingly, a lot of low totals today. First game up starting would be Houston at New York Yankees. Looks like it's going to rain early on in that game and then clear up, so they probably will get it in. Totals aren't too high, probably because of the weather. Not interested in either pitcher. I am interested on the Houston side, right-handed bats or Brantley, who can hit lefties pretty well anyways. Yankees, their righty-heavy lineup, not too interested really with any of them against Garcia, but they are a good lineup, so I can see it. Next game is Milwaukee against Philadelphia. Chase Anderson is a reverse splits pitcher. However, unfortunately, there's not too many right-handed batters on Milwaukee, so I could see possibly taking Kane or Evercio Garcia as some one-off bats, but there's nothing really you can stack here unless they come up with some weird right-hand heavy lineup. I do like Peralta as a mid-price pitcher. There's 3 pitchers ahead of him in price, up in the 10K or 2 in the 10K range, and then 1 just below that. But he fits in nicely underneath them. He's got a pretty high strikeout percentage to start the season. Philadelphia has some strikeouts in this lineup. So at 9.5, he's one that I could see using. Might be a little wet before the baseball game today in Philadelphia, but it looks like it's going to clear up and that they'll definitely be able to get this game in. Next, you have the Braves and the Nationals. I would not touch either pitcher here. You have Max Fried coming off the DL, and Eric Fetty has not been good to start the season. So definitely like the Braves against Fetty, both right and left-handed batters versus him, but obviously Freeman being the lefty is probably the favorite one of the pick there. And then Washington, I don't know, they're throwing out this watered down lineup, but they're very cheap. We have Turner up top at 4.7 with a splits advantage against Fried, but then if their projected lineup's right, Harrison at 3.5, Zimmerman, who I really like always against left-handed batters, at 3.9, Castro at 2.9, Gomez catcher 3.1, Robles, who has some speed, at 2.4. So a cheap stack there potentially against a pitcher that's coming back from the DL. Red Sox and Tigers, again, heavy rain early on in the day, hopefully clearing up to get this game in. Again, don't like either pitchers due to weather and due to who they are. I know we've had some success with pitchers against Detroit recently. Even Pivetta yesterday had a good game against them. But Red Sox have one of the highest totals on the slate at 5.25. So I do hope they get this game in. So I really like both sides of the plate versus Casey Mees of Detroit. So keep an eye on that. But definitely Red Sox stack is a decent one to look at if this game looks like it's going to play. Little rain concerns for Minnesota. This one, I don't know. It looks like potential light rain. I've seen anywhere from it just being in the 20% to possibly 40% during the game. So don't know about this one. The other interesting thing, too, is there's a little bit of a discrepancy between who's pitching. I've seen DK has Thorpe pitching. Some other sites have Pineda pitching. Major League Baseball has Thorpe also. And I hope it is Thorpe. I hope this game does play because he's 4K. And that might scare people off if they look at the box score. He had 2 not bad outings to start the season. Then he had 1 relief appearance, I believe, against the A's. The team was up 7-0. He came out and finished out the I think it was probably like the top of the 9th because they were they didn't want to bring the closer. He came out of the bullpen and he pitched a clean inning, 1 strikeout there. I think he got sent down to the minors. I'm not sure if Shoemaker has worked his way out of the rotation, if they're going with like a 6-person rotation at this point going forward. But the Rangers, they have some strikeouts there. I don't think Thorpe gets blown up. And at 4K, I think he definitely can pay off his price tag. So if you want one of these expensive pitchers that we're going to be talking about coming up here in the 10K range, or even Walker Buehler in the next game we're going to talk about at 9-7, using Thorpe as your SP2 definitely opens up some bats. However, I said the totals are pretty low tonight, so it's going to help you get the bats in, but there might not really be that many bats to even consider. So speaking of bats, looking at this game, if it is Thorpe, if you don't trust that, Texas is always a pretty cheap stack. Thorpe is a lefty, but then again, how long is he gonna last? So any of these bats that are like Calhoun leading off could take him, or Solak if it is Thorpe and you have the lefty righty matchup there. If he's batting second, like him, Adonis Garcia batting in the 5th spot, usually at like 3K. So some cheap options here for Texas for bats. Minnesota, if this game plays, I don't have a total yet. I think they're waiting on the weather, but they get a lefty, and this is a righty heavy lineup here. So definitely they would be one of my favorite stacks also, along with Boston. Buxton, Donaldson, Cruz, Garver. We'll have to see what lineup they put out there. Even like some of the cheaper guys, sometimes like Astucio, he's only usually like 4K. Kyle Garlick might get the start. I don't know if Kilderoff, who's been super hot, was not in lineup yesterday. I don't know if that was an injury or just rest or what's going on there. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. So definitely like the Minnesota bats. Okay, next game, Dodgers, Cubs. The weather looks great here. A wind blowing in 8 miles per hour, so neutralizes bats just a little bit. Really like Walker Buehler here at 9-7. He's cheaper than the other 2 stud pitchers on the slate. I think he had a rough game out against Cincinnati last time, and I think his place is reflecting that. But we love targeting the Cubs, especially in Wrigley with the wind blowing in a little bit. And there's K's in this lineup, so I think, out of the 3 stud pitchers who are very close in profile, I think, he would be my favorite to take. At the other side, LLZ, not interested in him. He's struggled this season, especially against lefties, so that definitely opens up lefty bats. Seager, Muncy, Beatty, if he makes the lineup, Lux, and even mixing in some of the righties with the lefties to find a stack in this game. Again, don't have a total yet because they don't usually release the totals for the Cubs games at home until they're sure what the weather's going to be, because Vegas doesn't want to lose money on that. But definitely like the Dodgers, pitchers, bats, good situation, good weather. Plug them in. The Mets and Cardinals, as we said, we're skipping that game because DK's not counting it because it's a doubleheader now. Kansas City Royals and Cleveland Indians. Here's one of your stud pitchers, Shane Bieber. Really like him. There's nothing, second biggest favorite on the slate at a negative 167. He's got a 37.5% K rate this season. He's 2-2, 2.48 ERA, 0.49 WHIP. Nothing but good things to say. Kansas City isn't a huge strikeout team in the top of the lineup. There are some strikeouts towards the bottom of the lineup. They're more of a contact team with a little bit of power with a lot of speed. So I think Bieber is definitely a safe option. I even like Brady Singer on the other side of the the game. He's 5'5", and I think a lot of people stray off him if they look at the box score and see he only won a couple innings his last outing, but he got hit on the heel by a pitch. From what I've read, he's done a simulated bullpen game. He's perfectly fine. He's ready to go back out there. And the couple games that he had before the injury weren't bad. I think he's a nice young pitcher that, we're going to be able to hopefully use a lot of in DFS. Now, granted, it was against Detroit when he put up like 32 DK points, but he had 22 points at home versus Toronto and 17 points against the Angels. So definitely somebody that I'd consider as a very cheap SP2 there. San Diego Padres at the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh has the lowest implied run total because they're up against Yu Darvish, who is the biggest favorite on the slate at I've seen anywhere from -429 to -655. So I like the Darvish here, definitely. Pittsburgh, even though they won last night 2-1, I think definitely Darvish can dominate them. Last night, Lament went 2 innings and it turned into pretty much a bullpen game. So I think that helps Darvish go a little bit longer here, because if they used, a lot of the bullpen last night, they might be trying to rest and keep him out there against this Pittsburgh team. So definitely, you can't go wrong here. Brubaker on the other side is interesting also at 6'9". Like I said, these Padres really haven't scored a ton of runs recently. If I look at it, just going back to last week, they scored 1 run against the Diamondbacks. They had a 12-point burst there. 3 runs versus San Francisco. Over the weekend, they had 6 runs, but then Sunday only scored 1 run. Monday only scored 2 runs. Yesterday only scored 1 run. So not putting up a ton of runs. Tatis was scratched last night, so hopefully he's okay. Maybe he just needed a rest. I don't know if he'll be back in the lineup, but there's definitely, I'm not saying play Brubaker and cash, but somebody that you consider. And it makes me kind of question the Padre bats. He's a decent pitcher. However, the bullpen is not. So if you think, that he only goes like 5 innings and then these Padre bats can get to the bullpen, I would rather play definitely the Dodgers bats. I'd rather play Boston or Minnesota as my primary cash stack over them. But I think, they might be sneaky with a little bit low ownership just based on their current results. Okay, next game up is the Tampa Bay Rays versus Los Angeles Angels. I see Shohei Ohtani as scheduled to potentially pitch here. I don't think he goes deep into the game, but Tampa Bay has been striking out, so most of their power comes from their left-handed bats, although arrows there, Randy, leading off, definitely showed in the playoffs last year that he has some power, and there's some power mixed in with people like Zunino, a catcher, and stuff that potentially could hit the ball. But I think Ohtani will go out there, and I don't think you really need him, though. And Yarbrough on the other side, I'm not interested in. It really puts me on the Angels bats. I really like the righties here against him. It seems like the righties have had success against him. So, with Ohtani, if he's batting there, Trout, Rendon, Upton's still cheap at 3-1, has some power, even Pujols, they make a really nice stack there. So Blue Jays and A's are the final game. Not super interested in either pitcher here. Chris Bassett at 8-9. I mean, you pay just a little bit more. If you can come up with the $6K or the $600 more, I'd go up to Peralta. You're only paying $800 more for Walker Buehler here. So, definitely, I think Bassett's in no man's land. He's against a Toronto team that can't hit, even though if the A's park isn't a great one. Their lineup seems to be back and healthy. And, Not super interested in anything in this game. Maybe some of the right-handed bats against Ray. He hasn't been horrible. He's given up a run here or there. He's given up a home run here or there, but nothing like, he's not a gas can and he's not a great pitcher. He's somewhere in between. He's a major league pitcher. So let's talk lineup construction a little bit quickly here. So let's say we want to go up top and we want to take Bieber and we want to take Darvish as our pitcher, because again, there are some good hitting situations here, but it's not like one of those nights where I feel like I have to get some bats in. So if I take both, then it leaves me 3-6, 7-5, which isn't bad. So if we punt catcher, Maldonado's 2-3, but I don't know if he'll play. He got a little bit banged up at a plate collision, so I don't know if he'll play. And their backup Castro, I think, is like over 3K. Plus, it would be a lefty on lefty matchup. So let's look at. I said I like righties against Anderson for Milwaukee. So if Molly's the catcher there, he's at 2-3. So I'll just plug him in there. Then, like I said, I like some of these cheap Washington pieces. Castro at 2-9. Take him at third base. Then take Garcia going back to the right-handers against Anderson. You can plug him in at 3K in an outfield spot. You could also use Kane there at 3-2, or dip down and take Calhoun for Texas leading off at 2-7. Throw in Dahl at 2-4 if you're looking for a little bit more savings there. But if you use like probably those guys like Molly, Castro, Garcia, and whatever cheap 3K-ish outfielder there, it gives you like about 5K per player left to fill out your lineup. So if you want the Dodgers, you can throw in Muncy and Seager and Lux and and Beatty if he's playing, and then find another outfielder with the money left. And the more you drop down in pitching, like if you went down to like Beaver and then Walker Buehler, who I think is like probably the most efficiently or most cost-effective way to get a stud in there too. So go Darvish and skip Beaver and put in Walker Buehler there. That opens up more salary. Or Buehler Peralta is a good pairing too. Like I said, you could drop all the way down to Singer or Thorpe if they're the weather's good for that game and Thorpe is actually pitching. That opens up a ton of bats. So then you could do maybe a double stack and get like in Dodgers and Angels or Dodgers and Twins. So definitely some ways to go. So again, happy Cinco de Mayo. If you're going to go out and celebrate, please celebrate responsibly. Thank you for watching. So if you can give us a like or subscribe to our channel, drop some comments below. We love interacting with our viewers and helping you out in any way we can, answering some questions. Again, I'm MegaRuler31. You can catch me on Twitter at MegaRuler31. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next Slate.